We're here in the city of Rossford. This is the old Indian Hills Elementary School site. And I'm with CEC, Civil Environmental Consultants, Inc., and we're working for the city of Rossford on this site, doing some due diligence on a property that the city of Rossford owns. Back in the late 60s, there were some archaeological finds at the far east end of the property. We're at the far west end. But the city is going through a due diligence process right now to try to assess, are there any significant artifacts on this side of the property similar to what was identified on the eastern end of the property. So that's what we're doing here today. And there was a palisade there, so there were several different artifacts, bowls and cups and projectile points, a lot of different things.
We're doing these meter by meter test units because we did a non-intrusive survey out here where we had ground penetrating radar done in this field to test for any possible locations of cultural resources, and they hit 5 anomalies. So it just means that it's an anomaly, we don't know what it is. So we are doing these test units to see if we can figure out what it is, if it's an actual cultural resource or a rock or a nail that got left out. So we are taking all of the dirt from these meter by meter units and sticking them in these 1/4 inch mesh screens so we can sift through the dirt and see if we can find anything.
So now we're taking the next step. We're actually doing some intrusive assessment of those anomalous findings from the ground penetrating radar study. So they grid off an area that's about a meter squared, and they dig down about 50 centimeters, roughly 2 feet, and they put the soil that is excavated from the ground into a sifting screen. And they sift through the soil and look for larger objects that are retained by the screen, and then they identify those objects.
Anything that could have set off the ground penetrating radar, so it could be glass, it could be a nail, it could be a rock, it could be coal. Because of the nature of the site that's pretty close to here, we're particularly keeping an eye out for anything that could be a prehistoric artifact. So we're looking for evidence of a refuse pit, so like a trash pile, a post hole that could have been for a house, any kind of like lithic tool, so a side scraper or a projectile point, anything that could show evidence of human activity in this area.
If you do find something, like what becomes of it?
Well, it depends on what it is and how ubiquitous it is across this area. So there, at the very least, will be further conversations with the State Historic Preservation Office just to communicate to them what the findings are. And then we'll work with the City of Rossford and SHPO, who's the State Historic Preservation Office, to identify next steps.